Ben Williams stood at the entrance of the Grand Assembly Hall, his heart beating fast as he took in the sight before him. The massive chamber stretched out like a small city, its curved walls reaching so high that the ceiling disappeared into shadows. Hundreds of seats formed perfect circles around a central platform, each section marked with symbols he could not read. This was the Galactic Council's first interspecies summit, and Ben felt very small in this place built for beings much larger than humans. As Earth's representative, he carried the hopes of his entire planet on his shoulders. The weight of that responsibility made his hands shake slightly as he gripped his identification device. The hall buzzed with activity as dozens of different alien species moved to their assigned seats. Ben watched in wonder as creatures he had only seen in briefing files walked past him. There were the tall, thin Vortani with their 6 arms moving in perfect rhythm. The rock-like granite people rolled along the floor, their bodies making soft grinding sounds. Flying creatures with rainbow wings fluttered overhead, their musical voices creating a beautiful background song. Ben pulled out his seating chart and studied the human section location. Earth had been granted observer status only, which meant humanity's seats were located in the very back of the hall. This placement was not meant to insult, the council had explained. It simply reflected humanity's recent arrival to faster-than-light travel and their current position in galactic society. As Ben made his way through the crowd, he noticed how other species moved aside to let certain beings pass. These were clearly the important ones, the representatives of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their sections were located near the front, close to the central platform where the main discussions would take place. The Zephyrian Empire held the most honored position of all. Their section sat directly at the High Council table, a raised platform that overlooked the entire assembly. Ben had read about the Zephyrians in his preparation materials. They were the oldest known civilization, having achieved space travel when humans were still living in caves. Their technology was so advanced that other species considered it almost magical. Ben finally spotted the small sign marking Earth's section. The seats were simple metal chairs, much different from the elaborate thrones and floating platforms used by other species. As he walked toward his assigned spot, Ben felt proud despite their humble placement. Just being here represented a huge step forward for humanity. At least we made it this far, Ben whispered to himself as he approached the human section. But as he reached for his seat, a crystalline hand suddenly wrapped around his wrist. The grip was firm but not painful, and Ben felt a strange tingling sensation where the alien skin touched his. He looked up to see one of the most beautiful and terrifying beings he had ever encountered. Princess Kira of the Zephyrian Empire stood before him, her translucent skin shimmering with patterns of blue and gold light. She was nearly 8 feet tall, her body elegant and graceful despite her size. Her face was humanoid but perfect in a way that made Ben feel he was looking at a living statue. Her eyes were large and silver, reflecting light like mirrors. The princess wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight, flowing and changing color as she moved. A crown of what looked like crystallized energy sat on her head, marking her royal status. Ben had never seen anything so magnificent or so alien. "Sit here," Princess Kira said, her voice clear and musical. She gestured toward the seat directly beside her at the High Council table. Ben blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, Your Highness, but I think there's been a mistake. My seat is over there." He pointed toward the human section in the back of the hall. Princess Kira's grip on his wrist tightened slightly. "No mistake. Sit here." She pointed again to the chair beside her, one of the most honored positions in the entire assembly. The effect of her words was immediate and dramatic. The buzzing conversation that had filled the hall died away, as if someone had turned off a switch. Hundreds of alien faces turned toward them, and Ben could feel the weight of their stares. Some creatures made sounds that he guessed were expressions of shock. Others remained perfectly still, their alien features unreadable. Ben looked around the hall and saw that every single being was watching them. The flying creatures had stopped their musical singing and hovered in place, their rainbow wings beating silently. The granite people had stopped rolling and stood like statues. Even the busy Vortani had frozen with all 6 arms in the middle of whatever tasks they had been performing. "Your Highness," Ben said quietly, hoping not to make the situation worse. "I don't understand. Humans are observers only. We don't have seats at the High Council table." Princess Kira's bioluminescent patterns shifted to a deeper blue color, Ben had read that this indicated strong emotion in Zephyrians, though he was not sure which emotion. "You will sit here because I have decided it. Do you refuse?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Ben realized that every word he spoke now would be remembered and studied by dozens of alien civilizations. His response could affect humanity's future relationship with the entire galaxy. From his left, Ben heard a low, growling sound. He turned to see Ambassador Thronk of the warrior clans rising from his seat. The massive creature looked like a cross between a bear and a rhinoceros, covered in thick armor plating. His small red eyes glared at Ben with obvious anger. "This is against all protocol," Thronk rumbled, his voice like distant thunder. "The seating arrangements follow ancient law. No species may sit at the High Council table until they have proven their worth through trial or conquest." Other voices joined in from around the hall. The Merchant Federation's representative, a creature that looked like a walking tree with golden leaves, spoke in rapid clicks and whistles that Ben's translation device turned into words. "The human species has not contributed to galactic society. They have no trade agreements, no military alliances, no technological patents. By what right do they claim such honor?" A group of floating jellyfish-like beings pulsed with angry red light as they communicated their displeasure through color changes. The translation device worked to keep up with the multiple conversations happening at once. Ben felt overwhelmed by the attention and criticism. He had expected to spend the summit quietly observing from the back row, perhaps asking a few polite questions during break periods. Instead, he found himself at the center of what looked like a major diplomatic crisis. Princess Kira released his wrist and turned to face the assembly. When she spoke, her voice carried easily through the huge chamber without seeming loud or strained. "I am Princess Kira, heir to the Zephyrian Empire, speaker for the oldest civilization in this galaxy. Our empire spans 12 star systems and our technology surpasses that of any other species represented here. When I choose to honor someone with a seat beside me, I do not require permission or approval from lesser species." The insult was clear and immediate. Ambassador Thronk's growling grew louder, and several other alien representatives began making angry sounds. The warrior clans had never been called a lesser species before, and neither had most of the other civilizations present. But Princess Kira was not finished speaking. "However, since you question my decision, I will explain my reasoning. 3 cycles ago, my exploration fleet encountered something unprecedented in this galaxy's history." She paused, and her bioluminescent pattern shifted to a soft green color. "We discovered what true honor and courage look like, and we learned it from the species you now dismiss as unworthy." Ben felt his face growing warm with embarrassment and confusion. He had no idea what the princess was talking about. Humans had barely begun exploring beyond their own solar system, and as far as he knew, no human ship had ever encountered the Zephyrians before this summit. The hall remained silent as Princess Kira continued. "I propose that we suspend the normal protocols of this assembly until I can present evidence of humanity's worthiness. If my evidence is found lacking, I will accept whatever punishment the Council deems appropriate for breaking ancient law." This declaration caused another wave of shocked responses from the assembly. For a member of the High Council table to risk punishment was almost unheard of. For the princess of the most powerful empire to do so, for the sake of the newest species, was completely unprecedented. Ambassador Thronk stepped forward, his massive form casting a shadow over nearby seats. "You would risk your empire's standing for these unknown creatures?" "I would risk everything for what is right," Princess Kira replied without hesitation. Ben looked around the hall and saw that the other alien representatives were exchanging glances and making quick conversations in their native languages. Some appeared angry, others confused, and a few seemed genuinely curious about what evidence the princess might present. The leader of the assembly, an ancient being known only as the speaker, rose from its position at the center of the High Council table. The speaker looked like a massive brain encased in a transparent dome, with tentacles that moved constantly as it thought. When it communicated, the words appeared directly in everyone's minds rather than being spoken aloud. "Princess Kira of the Zephyrian Empire, your request is most unusual. The seating protocols have remained unchanged for over 10,000 years. To alter them now would require unanimous agreement from all council members." "Then let us vote," Princess Kira said firmly. But first, allow me to present my evidence. Give me permission to tell this assembly why humanity deserves a place among us." The speaker's tentacles moved more rapidly as it considered this request. "Very well. You may present your evidence. But be warned that if the council finds your reasoning insufficient, the consequences will be severe. Your empire's voting rights could be suspended and your trade agreements reviewed." Princess Kira nodded. "I understand and accept these terms." Ben felt like he was watching a dream or perhaps a nightmare. He had come to the summit expecting to spend a few days quietly learning about galactic politics. Instead, he found himself at the center of a situation that could change the balance of power among the stars. "Your Highness," Ben said quietly, "I'm honored by your support, but I don't understand what this is about." "What evidence are you talking about?" Princess Kira turned to look at him, and for a moment her silver eyes seemed to show something like sadness. "You truly do not know, do you? Your people sent you here without telling you the full story." "What story?" Ben asked. "The story of Captain Maya Chen and the rescue that changed everything," Princess Kira said. "The story of why I believe humanity deserves not just a seat at this table, but a leading role in shaping our galaxy's future." Ben had never heard of Captain Maya Chen, but the name sent a small chill down his spine. Something important had happened, something that his government had not told him about. He was beginning to realize that this summit was not what he had expected at all. The princess gestured again to the chair beside her. "Sit, Ben Williams of Earth. Let me tell this assembly why your species may be young, but your hearts are older and wiser than any of ours." Ben looked at the chair, then at the hundreds of alien faces watching him, then back at Princess Kira's determined expression. He took a deep breath and made his choice. He sat down beside the alien princess at the High Council table, not knowing that this single action would echo through galactic history for generations to come. Ben settled into the chair beside Princess Kira, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien stares upon him. The seat was larger than human furniture, clearly designed for the tall Zephyrian frame, but it adjusted automatically to his size with a soft humming sound. He gripped the armrests tightly, trying to calm his racing heart. Princess Kira stood gracefully and addressed the assembly. Her bioluminescent patterns had shifted to a calm silver color, and when she spoke, her voice carried clearly through the vast chamber. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, I will now present the evidence that supports my decision to offer humanity a place at this table. 3 cycles ago, our exploration vessel, Starlight's Edge, was conducting scientific research in the Outer Rim territories, far from any inhabited systems." The speaker's tentacles moved slowly as it processed this information. "Continue, Princess Kira. The Council is listening." "Our ship carried a crew of 43 scientists and researchers, led by my cousin, Prince Zalen. They were studying the effects of stellar radiation on crystalline formations, work that could advance our understanding of energy storage technology." Ben noticed that several alien representatives leaned forward with interest. Advanced energy storage was apparently a topic that concerned many species. Princess Kira's patterns shifted to a darker blue as she continued. During their research, they encountered an unexpected solar flare from the nearby star. The radiation was unlike anything in our databases, and it began affecting our ship's biological systems immediately. Ambassador Thronk of the Warrior Clan spoke up. "Zephyrian ships are among the most advanced in the galaxy." "How could a simple solar flare cause significant damage?" "Because this was not a simple flare," Princess Kira replied. "The radiation had properties we had never encountered. It passed through our shields as if they did not exist and began breaking down the crystalline structures that power our vessels. Within hours, our ship was losing life support, navigation, and communication systems. The floating jellyfish-like beings pulsed with orange light, which Ben's translation device indicated meant curiosity or concern. One of them spoke in a series of musical tones. "What actions did your crew take to address this crisis?" "They followed standard Zephyrian protocol," Princess Kira said. "They sent out a distress signal on all emergency frequencies and began preparing for emergency hibernation. Our people can survive in deep sleep for many cycles if necessary, waiting for rescue." "A logical response," commented the representative of the Merchant Federation. "Emergency protocols exist for such situations." Princess Kira nodded. "Yes, it was logical. It was also what any civilized species would do. But the humans did something completely different." She paused, and her patterns brightened to pure white light. Ben had never seen a Zephyrian display such intensity of emotion. A human exploration vessel detected our distress signal from an incredible distance. The ship was called New Horizon and was commanded by Captain Maya Chen. According to our records, this was only the 4th human vessel to travel beyond your solar system. Ben felt a shock of recognition. He had heard of the New Horizon mission, though the details had been classified above his security level. It was supposed to be a simple exploration of nearby star systems, nothing more. The remarkable thing, Princess Kira continued, was not just that they detected our signal. It was that they immediately changed course to help us. Despite having no knowledge of our species, no understanding of our technology, and no guarantee that we were not hostile. This statement caused a stir throughout the assembly. The granite people made grinding sounds that indicated surprise, while the Vortani's 6 arms moved in rapid patterns that suggested agitation. That makes no sense, Ambassador Thronk rumbled. No species risks their own vessel for unknown aliens. It violates every principle of survival and logic. Exactly, Princess Kira said, her voice rising with emotion. It made no sense to us either. When Captain Chen's ship arrived at our location, we were prepared for them to scan us, take readings, and perhaps report our position to others. We never expected what actually happened. The speaker's mental voice reached everyone in the chamber. What did happen, Princess Kira? Captain Maya Chen hailed our ship and spoke to Prince Zalen directly. She said, and I quote these words exactly, "This is Captain Chen of the human vessel New Horizon. We received your distress call and are here to help. What do you need?" The silence that followed this statement was complete. Ben could hear his own heartbeat in the quiet chamber. She asked what we needed, Princess Kira repeated. Not who we were, not whether we had anything to trade, not whether we posed a threat. She asked what we needed. The representative of the Crystal Singers, a being that looked like living music made solid, vibrated with harmonious tones. This behavior is unprecedented in galactic history. It gets more unprecedented, Princess Kira said. When Prince Zalen explained our situation, Captain Chen immediately offered to transfer her ship's medical supplies to help our people fight the radiation effects. She offered this knowing that her own crew was far from home and might need those same supplies. Ben felt a surge of pride at hearing about his fellow humans' actions, but also a growing understanding of why this story was so important. In a galaxy where species apparently looked out only for themselves, humanity had acted with pure generosity. The transfer took place over several hours, Princess Kira continued. During this time, Captain Chen and Prince Zalen exchanged information about their respective species. My cousin learned that humans had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel and had never encountered alien life before this meeting. First contact, whispered one of the floating jellyfish beings. Yes, first contact. And do you know what Captain Chen's primary concern was during this historic moment? She wanted to make sure our people were comfortable and safe. She asked if our species had any special dietary needs, whether the medical supplies might have adverse effects, and how long we could survive in our current condition. Princess Kira's patterns were now cycling through multiple colors as her emotions intensified. But the most amazing part of this story was yet to come. As the hours passed, something terrible began happening to the human ship. Ben leaned forward in his seat, completely absorbed in the story despite his nervousness. The same radiation that had disabled our vessel began affecting the New Horizon. Captain Chen had risked her ship by staying close enough to help us, and now her own crew was in danger. The logical action would have been to complete the medical transfer and leave immediately. What did she do? Asked Ambassador Thronk, his aggressive tone softened by obvious curiosity. She stayed, Princess Kira said simply. When her systems began failing, she moved her ship even closer to ours and began a direct physical connection between the vessels. She was going to manually transfer her remaining crew to our ship to save their lives. The assembly erupted in surprised sounds and exclamations. Several species began rapid conversations in their native languages, while others simply stared in disbelief. Wait, said the Merchant Federation representative. You said her ship was failing too. How would transferring to your vessel help either crew? Princess Kira's expression became solemn. Captain Chen had a plan that was both brilliant and terrifying. She had discovered that the radiation affected each of our technologies differently. While it destroyed our crystalline power systems, it actually enhanced certain human technologies in unexpected ways. Enhanced how? The speaker's mental voice carried intense interest. Their fusion reactors became more efficient when exposed to the radiation, and their computer systems developed new capabilities. Captain Chen realized that by combining our damaged ship with her enhanced technology, both crews might survive. Princess Kira paused and looked directly at Ben. But implementing this plan required someone to stay behind on the new horizon to manually guide the fusion process. The radiation levels would be fatal to any organic being within hours. Ben felt his stomach drop as he began to understand where this story was leading. Captain Chen volunteered herself for this task, Princess Kira said quietly. She ordered her crew to transfer to our ship and prepared to sacrifice her life to save 43 Zephyrians she had never met before that day. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the ambient sounds of alien breathing and movement seemed to stop. Prince Zalen refused to allow this sacrifice. He and Captain Chen argued for over an hour about who should stay behind. Finally, they reached a compromise. They would work together in shifts, taking turns at the dangerous task and sharing the radiation exposure between them. Princess Kira's voice grew stronger as she continued. For 6 days and nights, Captain Maya Chen and Prince Zalen worked together to keep both ships functioning. They saved 78 lives total, including their own, through cooperation and shared sacrifice. Ben realized he had been holding his breath. He slowly exhaled and tried to process the magnitude of what he was hearing. When our rescue fleet finally located both ships, they found something unprecedented in galactic history. 2 completely different species working together, as if they were members of the same crew, sharing technology, sharing resources, sharing risks, all for the benefit of beings they had never met before. Ambassador Thronk shifted in his massive seat. This is an impressive story, Princess Kira, but it describes the actions of one human, not the entire species. You are wrong, Princess Kira said firmly. When we investigated human society after this incident, we discovered that Captain Chen's behavior was not unusual among her people. Humans regularly risk themselves for strangers. They have organizations dedicated entirely to helping others with no expectation of reward. They send aid to regions affected by natural disasters even when they have never visited those places. She gestured toward Ben. They even sent their representative to this summit with instructions to learn from other species and find ways to help solve galactic problems, despite having no official power or influence here. Ben blinked in surprise. That was exactly what his mission briefing had told him to do, though he had not thought about it in those terms. The crystal singer vibrated with new harmonies. This behavior suggests a fundamental difference in human psychology compared to other known species. Exactly, Princess Kira agreed. Every other species in this galaxy operates under the principle of mutual benefit. We help others only when we expect something in return. We form alliances for protection, trade agreements for profit, and research partnerships for shared knowledge. She spread her arms wide, encompassing the entire assembly. But humans help others simply because others need help. They do not calculate the benefits or weigh the risks against potential rewards. They see suffering and they act to end it. The speaker's tentacles moved rapidly as it processed this information. Princess Kira, are you suggesting that humanity should be granted advanced status based solely on their capacity for selfless behavior? I am suggesting much more than that, Princess Kira replied. I am suggesting that humanity represents something our galaxy has never seen before. A species that could unite all of us not through conquest or commerce, but through genuine cooperation. This statement caused the biggest reaction yet from the assembly. Several alien representatives stood up and began speaking at once. Ambassador Thronk's growling grew loud enough to be heard over the other voices. This is madness, the warrior declared. No species can be trusted to act without self-interest. It goes against every evolutionary principle, does it? Princess Kira challenged. Or does it represent the next step in evolution? A species that has learned to see the survival of others as connected to their own survival? Ben found himself thinking about Earth's history, about the countless examples of humans helping others despite personal cost. He had never considered this trait to be particularly special, but hearing it described from an alien perspective made him see it differently. The Merchant Federation representative clicked rapidly. Even if this behavioral trait exists, how do we know it would continue in a galactic context? Perhaps humans only help other humans. Because they helped us first, Princess Kira said simply. Captain Chen knew nothing about our species, our culture, or our technology. She helped us because we needed help and for no other reason. She turned to address the entire assembly directly. I propose that we do more than simply grant humanity observer status or even a seat at this table. I propose that we make them founding members of a new type of galactic alliance, one based on the human principle of mutual aid rather than mutual benefit. The chamber erupted in surprised exclamations and heated discussions. Several species seemed intrigued by the possibility, while others appeared alarmed by such a radical departure from traditional galactic politics. Ben sat in his chair, overwhelmed by the responsibility that Princess Kira was placing on his species. He thought about Captain Chen, whom he had never met but who had apparently changed the course of galactic history through simple human compassion. The speaker called for order, and gradually the assembly grew quiet. Princess Kira, this proposal would require extensive discussion and evaluation. Are you prepared to stake your empire's reputation on humanity's continued behavior in this regard? I am, Princess Kira said without hesitation. I believe that humanity's presence in galactic affairs will benefit every species represented here. They will teach us things about cooperation that we have forgotten or never learned. She looked at Ben again, and her expression was both hopeful and determined. I believe that Ben Williams and his people will show us what we could become if we learn to help each other as naturally as we help ourselves. Ben stood up slowly, feeling the weight of countless alien stares upon him. He was just one human, carrying the hopes and reputation of his entire species. But he thought about Captain Chen's courage and felt a spark of that same determination. Your Highness, he said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber despite his nervousness. Humanity accepts the honor you offer us. We pledge to prove worthy of your trust. The speaker's tentacles moved in complex patterns as it considered the situation. Very well. The council will vote on Princess Kira's proposal. All those in favor of granting humanity founding member status in a new cooperative alliance? One by one, lights began appearing throughout the chamber as alien representatives cast their votes. Ben watched in amazement as species after species chose to support humanity's inclusion. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity had found its place among the stars not through conquest or technology, but through the simple act of caring about others. As Ben shook hands with dozens of alien beings who welcomed him to the new galactic alliance, he thought about Captain Chen and all the other humans who had shown kindness to strangers. He realized that Earth's greatest export to the galaxy would not be resources or knowledge, but compassion itself.